What's up, everyone? We are back with a huge day of MLB action here on Tuesday, April 9th. So far, our picks are off to a pretty solid start. The Marlins-Yankees game did go under, with the Marlins not scoring a single run, so that kind of screwed us over. But the Milwaukee-Cincinnati game easily went over. We cashed our biggest bet of the day, which was Toronto minus 1.5, so that was a solid one. Philly and St. Louis, looks like that under is going to hit for sure. Up and down, we're looking like another pretty solid day, so we're excited for that. We've got a full MLB slate to cover here today, and we are pumped to dive back in and find us all some more winners. Hit that like button to keep these daily picks coming, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. We appreciate all the support lately, but still over 70% of our viewers aren't subscribed. I know we can bump that number up a little bit. It's 100% free and will keep you from missing out on our daily videos. These videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and join our free email list, and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports, which are brought to you by our entire team of experts. Comment below with all the bets you're looking at today to get our best advice on them. We respond to absolutely every single comment, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our final picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first matchup of the day. We've got the Detroit Tigers going on the road to take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. We've got some day game action in this one, and we see the Pirates came away with a 7-4 win in game 1 of this series. That came through for us. That was a solid bet. Glad to put that one on the board for sure. We also hit the over in that game, so things worked out exactly as projected. The Tigers are still off to a slightly better than projected start to their season. They're 6-4 overall. In this game, they're handing the ball to Casey Mize. He'll be making his second start of the season. In the first one, things didn't go exactly great for him. He only lasted 4 1/3 innings, gave up 5 hits, 3 earned runs. He had 4 strikeouts and 2 walks, so not exactly a banner performance. We did see Detroit get the win in that game. In extra innings, they won 6-3 over the Mets, so the fact that he struggled against the slow to start Mets batters isn't exactly a great sign. We're not pumped with how Casey Mize looks in this game, but it's only one start. You never know, he could bounce back from that one. We've seen things like that. We've seen turnarounds like that here in the early going more than once, so we're not exactly going to lock in that he's going to have a bad year or something like that just because of one start, but just in general, we're looking at the Tigers offense. Things have not gone off to a hot start for them. They've only scored 29 runs over the course of the season. They're 27th in the league. They're in the bottom 5 in the league in basically every major hitting category. Things are just not looking very good for them. Their leading batting average guy so far this year is Colt Keith, and he's only batting .250 overall. So things are not looking great for the Tigers. They're not hitting the ball that well. Their pitching's been coming through. They've been getting some wins, but do we really trust Casey Mize in this one? I don't know, guys. That's going to be a little bit of a tough sell for me going up against the Pirates, who just won this last game 7-4, and they've won their last 3 in a row. Pittsburgh's off to a very good 9-2 start overall. They're going to be handing the ball in this game to Martin Perez. This lefty has gotten off to a very good start to his season. He's got 2 starts overall. He's given up 6 hits in each one of those starts, so he's given up some hits for sure, but he's managed to navigate his way out of trouble. He's only given up 3 earned runs over the course of 2 starts, over the course of 11 innings, so not too bad there. He's got 8 strikeouts and a total of 5 walks, so control can be a little bit of an issue. Kind of a classic problem to have as a left-handed pitcher, but his ERA is 2.45. We're not going to complain about that. And the Pirates have won both of his starts this season, so things are looking pretty good for Pittsburgh when he's on the mound, and things are just looking good for Pittsburgh in general right now. Their bats are off to a very solid start. They've scored the 4th most runs in the MLB this season. Their batting average is 6th in the league. On base percentage is very high. Their slugging percentage isn't exactly amazing, but it's plenty good enough. We're not exactly going to complain about a .402 slugging percentage. So just in general, things are off to a very positive start for Pittsburgh. Looking at the trends for this game, we see that Detroit is 3-7 against the run line this season. Not too great. We see Pittsburgh is 9-2 against the run line, so that's pretty encouraging. Definitely going to want to take a look at what kind of odds we can get on the run line there. Right now, we're looking mostly at Pittsburgh minus 116 as our likely bet in this one. These teams have differing trends against the over-under, and we see it's at 9. That feels a little bit high to me, so if you wanted to take a small taste of the under, I wouldn't really blame you for that, but we're more looking at Pittsburgh minus 1.5 in this game. You can get them plus 155 if you take them minus 1.5, so I think we're definitely interested in that one. I have a good amount of faith in Martin Perez to have another solid start and hopefully give up a few less hits against a Detroit team that's not off to a good start hitting the ball. So give me Pittsburgh minus 1.5 in this game. You can get around plus 155 on that one, so I think you should be in a good spot for some value. Next up, we've got the Baltimore Orioles going on the road to take on the Boston Red Sox. It's another day game. We've got Baltimore coming into this one fresh off losing that series against the Pirates. They lost that series 2-1, so not a sweep, but not exactly what they were hoping for. They're going to be handing the ball in this game to Corbin Burnes, who will be making his 3rd start of the season. Things have gotten off to a kind of up and down start for him. He absolutely dominated against the Los Angeles Angels in his first start of the season. He had 11 strikeouts in that game, 0 walks, but then when it came time to take on the Royals, things did not go nearly as smooth. He did only give up 2 earned runs in that game, so he managed to work his way out of trouble multiple times, but he gave up 9 hits and only had 3 strikeouts in that game, so he came back to earth a little bit. He's 1-0 on the season. He does have 14 strikeouts over 2 starts, so we're not complaining about that. That's a very good start for the guy, and we see that the Orioles won both of his starts. They had a 4-3 win and an 11-3 win, so Only a 4-3 win over the Kansas City Royals, not exactly something we're going to freak out about, but just in general, the Orioles are playing pretty well this season. A 5-4 start is not a disaster. Their offense seems to be coming alive a little bit. They're still a little bit behind league average here, but they're scoring some runs, and they're definitely in a spot where they're going to want to bounce back. They lost 2 one-run games to the Pirates in that series, so they need to just produce a little bit more offense, and it seems like the pitching staff can keep them in some games. They're going to need to play well, though, going up against the Boston Red Sox, who are off to a 7-3 start. Boston comes into this game fresh off a 12-2 domination of the Angels, and we saw the Red Sox were playing on the road in that series. Boston's going to be handing the ball to Brian Bello. He comes into this game. He's going to be making his 3rd start of the season overall. He's looked very similar in both of his starts. He seems like he's just going to last 5 innings in pretty much every start. He did have 6 strikeouts against the A's, which isn't super impressive going against the A's, but he gave up 4 earned runs and 2 home runs in that game. He also gave up a home run to Seattle, so he hasn't been having a very good time despite going against pretty weak competition overall. The Red Sox are likely going to need to score some runs with him on the mound, and they've kind of been scoring some runs so far this season. They're 5th in the league with 50 runs scored, so not too bad there. Their batting average isn't amazing, but it's got them in the top 2/3 of the league pretty much. Slugging percentage and on-base percentage are looking decent as well. We see Tyler O'Neill's off to a very good start to his season, batting over .350, and he's got 5 home runs so far this year, so he's off to a good start. Is he going to be able to have that same kind of success here in this series going up against Burns and his hot start as he piles up some strikeouts? Looking at the numbers for this game, we see Baltimore's -130 in this one. The Red Sox are +116. The over-under is at 8.5 for this game, so not exactly crazy enticing when we see both of these teams are trending towards being very, very even on the over-unders, and neither one of these pitchers is really getting shelled. This is going to be a tough one for us to peg. I lean towards the Orioles -130 in this one. I think they're on the better side of the pitching matchup. I do actually think that Boston is going to have some trouble with Bello on the mound. He didn't really have a very good time against 2 kind of mediocre opponents, so give me Baltimore -130 in this one. I like them to come through, get a win here in Boston, playing against the Red Sox, who shouldn't have a ton of faith in their starter right now. Next up, we're looking at the Chicago White Sox going on the road to take on the Cleveland Guardians. Chicago just lost 4-0 at Cleveland in their first game of the series. Things did not really go their way. They did not look good, obviously could not hit the ball, and that's a problem they've been having all year long. They're going to be handing the ball to Michael Soroka in this one, hoping that he can stem the tide and kind of turn things around for them, but that has not been the case so far in his 2 starts this season. Against the Tigers, he got kind of shelled, and that happening against the Tigers isn't a great look. In only 5 innings, he gave up 5 hits and 4 earned runs, a home run. He had 3 walks and 0 strikeouts in that game, so Buddy came out of the gate struggling. He gave up 6 hits in 6 innings, 2 earned runs and 1 home run in that loss to the Kansas City Royals. So once again, he's just not having a very good time. His ERA is around 5. He's 0-1 on the season. He's only got 2 strikeouts on the year. Things are not working out for this guy coming out of the gate. And the White Sox, they need their starters to do all of the work. They've only scored 16 runs so far this season. This has been one of the worst offensive teams in the league to start the year, and things just are not getting better for them very fast. Things are going to have to improve for them rapidly here, going up against the Cleveland Guardians, who come into this game fresh off that shutout win. They've been playing really, really well. They're 8-2 to start the season, so a hot start from them for sure, and they're handing the ball to Logan Allen, who comes into this game. He's hoping that his decent start can continue. He had a kind of rough outing against the Oakland A's in his first start of the season. He gave up 3 runs, 2 home runs, and only 5 innings of work to start his year off, but he settled down against the Mariners. He only gave up 4 hits. He had 6 strikeouts and 3 walks in 6 2/3 innings, so that is a very solid outing here early in the season. He's got to feel pretty good about that, and he's got to feel pretty good about going up against the Chicago White Sox here. We're looking at the Guardians -1.5 in this game to get it to +100, and that's definitely where we're leaning. We see that the Guardians are 8-2 against the run line over the course of the season. We see Chicago is a team that definitely plays towards the under, so if you want to take a bite of the under in this one, it would make sense to me, but my main bet in this one is going to be the Guardians -1.5. I think they're going to look very solid in this game. I don't think Chicago is going to score, maybe not at all, and Cleveland's definitely going to put up some runs, so in this one, definitely give me Cleveland -1.5 to get those solid 100 odds. Moving right along, we've got an NL Central showdown between the Milwaukee Brewers and the Cincinnati Reds. We saw Cincinnati come out on top of a very high-scoring Game 1 of this series. They won 10-8 in that one. Absolute slugfest. The Brewers are off to a 6-3 start to their season overall, so they can't feel too bad about that. They're handing the ball to Joe Ross in this one. It's going to be his second start of the season. His first one did not go according to plan. He only lasted 3 2/3 innings, but he looked pretty decent in there except for the control issues. He had 5 walks and only 3 2/3. That's not great. He did have 3 strikeouts, only gave up 2 hits, and was not scored on in that game, but those control issues are definitely concerning. And Milwaukee's offense hasn't gotten off to an amazing start. They've been getting a little bit unlucky in terms of runs scored. They've only put up 41 runs, but they're 5th in the league in batting average and 7th in the league in on-base percentage, with an on-base percentage of nearly .350. So we expect their offense to look a little bit better here, and you would definitely think the place for your offense to show out and improve or just get those numbers up a little bit would be playing in Cincinnati. The Reds come into this game, they're 6-4 to start the season. They won 10-8 to start this series off, so they've got to feel pretty good about that, and they probably don't feel too bad about handing the ball to Frankie Montas, who's off to a very, very good start to his season. He pitched 6 innings of shutout ball against the Washington Nationals. He only gave up 4 hits over that span, and he struck out 4 in that game. He did get a little bit touched up against the Phillies, but he only gave up 1 run in that game. It was a home run. He had 5 strikeouts, 3 walks, and 5 2/3 in that one against a solid Phillies team, so they can't feel too bad about how their right-hander looks so far, but he's going to have a very good pitching day to fare well in that little ballpark, which is always a concern for pretty much every Cincinnati Reds pitcher or any pitcher that visits the great American ballpark. We see the Reds come into this game. Their hitting hasn't been amazing right off the bat. You can see those inflated slugging percentage numbers, but their on-base percentage is middle of the road. Runs scored kind of middle of the road. Just in general, they haven't been having a great time hitting the ball, but their bats should be a little bit hot after putting up 10 runs last night. Look at the numbers for this game. We see that Milwaukee is plus 120. We see the Reds are minus 142, and the over-under is currently at 9. This is kind of a tough game to peg, guys. I think we're going to see the Brewers starters struggle a little bit. If you wanted to take the over in this game, I wouldn't blame you. These teams are combined 12-7 to the over this season, so that's a point in the over's favor for sure, but I'm more just looking at Cincinnati to win this game outright. Give me the Reds minus 142, and if you want to take a taste of the over in this game, that's fine with me. Next up, we got the Miami Marlins going on the road to take on the New York Yankees. The Marlins come into this one fresh off of a loss in game 1 of this series. They lost 7-0 at Yankee Stadium. Things did not look good for them in that game, and things have been looking pretty abysmal for them this season overall. They're only 1-10 on the year. They're handing the ball to their young prospect, AJ Puk. He comes into this one making his 3rd start of the season, and things have been a little bit rocky for the young right-hander. He only lasted 2 innings against the Pirates in his 1st start of the year. He walked 6 batters in that game. Pretty big control issues for him there. Against the Angels, he had some walks again. He walked 3 in only 4 innings. He gave up 4 runs in that game, 3 walks, only 5 strikeouts. Guys, things are not looking great for this young prospect. Obviously, he's got plenty of time, plenty of room to improve, but he's going to need to do that pretty quick. But when you're on the Marlins, there's not a whole lot of reason for hope. This team has not been having a good year at all. They've only scored 40 runs overall, and 10 of those came in one game against the Cardinals, so not really a team that's hitting the ball great at all. Their slugging percentage is down, on-base percentage is terrible, batting average is terrible. Their best hitter, Brian De La Cruz, he's batting under 300. There's just not a lot of good news coming out of Miami right now, and they're going to need to play an awful lot better if they want to have a good time against the New York Yankees, who come into this game riding a 3-game winning streak and fresh off that dominant 7-0 win. The Yankees are handing the ball to Carlos Rondon. He's been up and down in his 2 starts, mostly up though, I'll say that for him. He only lasted 4 1/3 in his 1st start of the season. Not really looking to stretch him out there, but he gave up 5 hits in those 4 1/3 innings, 1 earned run, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts. That came against the Houston Astros, so not a terrible outing. And against the Arizona Diamondbacks in his 2nd start of the season, he lasted 5 1/3. He gave up 7 hits in that one, 2 home runs, but those were his only earned runs in the game, so not a terrible outing. And in general, we expect him to get a little bit stronger here as the season goes on. The real strength of the Yankees so far, their offense, it's been building. It's been doing pretty well. They've scored 7, 8, and 9 runs over their last 3 games, respectively, so they are putting up some runs. They're hitting the cover off the ball right now, and there's just a lot of reason for optimism around the Yankees right now, as seen by the odds makers who have them at minus 196 in this game. We also see that Miami is only 1-10 against the run line this season. We're going to go ahead and keep pounding that. Give me the Yankees minus 1.5. You get them at plus 110 for that, so that seems like a very good spot for me. I expect them to win this game comfortably. Once again, there's no reason to be back in the Miami Marlins, who are only 1-10 against the run line this season. The Yankees are 7-4 against the run line. Give me New York minus 1.5 in this game. Next up, we got the Seattle Mariners going on the road to take on the Toronto Blue Jays. We saw Toronto get the 5-2 win in game 1 of that series. That was our biggest bet of the day. We needed Toronto minus 1.5, and they came through for us big time. That was our biggest bet of the day. Nice to cash a big one. Hope you guys were riding with us on that one. Seattle has not gotten off to a good start to their season. They're only 4-7 overall. They've lost 2 in a row, and they've lost 5 of their last 6 overall. Things are not really improving, but they're handing the ball to George Kirby, hoping that they can see the good version of him. It's been a tale of 2 starts for him this season. In his opening game start, he lasted 6 2/3 innings. He only gave up 2 hits, had 8 strikeouts, and 2 walks in a 1-0 win over the Boston Red Sox. In his 2nd start of the season, though, things went the complete opposite way. Against the Cleveland Guardians, he gave up 9 hits, 6 earned runs, only 2 strikeouts over 3 2/3 innings, in a game that we saw the Mariners end up losing 8-0. Seattle has not been hitting the ball well out of the gate here. They're 25th in the league in runs scored. Their .313 slugging percentage has them 28th in the league. They are just in the bottom part of the league and overall offensive numbers so far. Nobody on their roster's really gotten off to a hot start. Just not a lot of positives coming out of the bats for the Mariners, and they're going to need some hits and they're going to need some runs going up against the Toronto Blue Jays, who are playing really well right now. They're only 5-6 overall, but they seem to have come alive here, and I think we're going to see some good things from them here down the stretch. They're handing the ball to Chris Bassett here, and the big right-hander has gotten off to a kind of mediocre start to his season. In his first start of the season, he lasted 5 innings against the Rays. He gave up 4 earned runs, a home run, 6 strikeouts, and only 2 walks, so those numbers aren't terrible, but most of the numbers in that game not looking so hot, and especially not looking so hot was his start against the Houston Astros, who only lasted 4 1/3, gave up 4 earned runs, a home run in that one, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, 9 hits, just not a great outing. He's not off to the start he imagined. He's 0-2 with a 7.71 ERA, so Toronto has to know they're going to have to score some runs in this game, and that isn't exactly what they've been doing over the course of the season so far. Things have looked a bit rough. The most runs we've seen them score in a game was when they put up 9 against the Tampa Bay Rays, and that feels like a very long time ago at this point. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see that the over-under is currently at 8. Seattle is 3-7 on the run line. Toronto is 5-5 against the run line. They're 6-4 to the over, and we see that Seattle is 5-4-1 to the over. So some small trends towards the over, which is pretty funny to me if you look at the way these teams have been hitting the ball. But with both of these pitchers getting off to pretty rocky starts to their season, I think we can expect to see some offense in this game. Go ahead and give me over 8 in this one. I don't have a huge lean on who's going to win this game straight up. If you made me have to pick it, I guess I'll take the Toronto Blue Jays -104, but my bigger bet in this game is going to be over 8. I think we'll see some offense in this one. This is a tough game to peg, though, for sure. Next up, we got the New York Mets going on the road to take on the Atlanta Braves. We just saw New York get the 8-7 win in Game 1 of this series, so a high-scoring game for sure, and the Mets getting a much-needed win and some much-needed offense on that one to come out on top, which hasn't exactly been something that's happened a lot for them this season. They're only 4-6 overall, so not exactly the start they imagined, and a lot of that's been thanks to their bats not looking so hot. They're handing the ball to Adrian Hauser in this one. He has not gotten off to a terrible start at all. He pitched 5 innings against the Detroit Tigers. He only gave up 1 earned run, 3 hits, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts in that game, so a pretty solid start, albeit not against the toughest opponent, but still, you'll definitely take it. Any outing where you give up 1 run, that's not going to be a bad outing as long as you're not a bullpen pitcher. The Mets bats have been terrible here to start the season. They're league worst in slugging percentage. They've not been scoring a lot of runs this year. Their batting average is sub 200. Like, things are just not looking good here out of the gate, and they're going to need to look a lot better if they're going to want to keep up with the Atlanta Braves. Again, even though they did get a game win in Game 1 of this season, things are going to be a little bit different here in Game 2. Atlanta comes into this one 6-3 overall. They're handing the ball to Ronaldo Lopez. He comes into this game making his second start of the season, hoping he can back up a very solid first outing against the Chicago White Sox. He only gave a single earned run in that game. He had 5 strikeouts and 2 walks in 6 innings of work. That's a pretty solid start to me. This big right-hander has to feel pretty good about sporting a 1.5 ERA to start the season, and the Atlanta Braves bats have not looked bad either. They're off to a very good start. They did lose that game against the Mets, but they did score a lot of runs in that one, so things are looking pretty decent for the Atlanta Braves here, and the odds makers agree. We see Atlanta -188 in this one. The over-under is at 9.5. We see the Mets are only 2-7 against the run line this season, or probably 3-7 now, actually, and Atlanta is 4-5 against the run line. Atlanta is more of an over team. We see the Mets are definitely an under team, which makes sense with their struggling offense overall, given the disparity in the pitching matchup in this one, and the fact that Atlanta's in a bounce-back spot after a loss that has to be at least a little bit upsetting here in the early goings. We're definitely looking at Atlanta -1.5. You can get them at +105 if you take them minus the 1.5. So give me the Braves -1.5 in this one. I think they find a way to get a comfortable win and cover against a Mets team whose bats probably aren't fully alive even after a win yesterday. If you wanted to take a taste of the under in this game after so many runs were scored yesterday, I definitely think we could see the offense regress a little bit, but give me Atlanta -1.5. That's going to be my slightly bigger bet in this one, but I'll also be on that under. Next up, we're looking at the Houston Astros going on the road to take on the Kansas City Royals. Houston just won 10-5 at the Texas Rangers. They split that series 2-2. They're trying to break out of this slow start they've gotten off to. They're only 4-7 on the season overall. They're handing the ball to Christian Javier, hoping that he can replicate his success that he's had so far this season in both of his starts. He looked pretty solid against the Yankees, only gave up 4 hits in 6 innings in that one, a game that the Astros still managed to lose 7-1, so that's pretty disappointing for them, but not disappointing for him. A 6 strikeout, 1 walk kind of day is pretty good, and it also looks like it's very good for him because he struggled with his command a lot against the Toronto Blue Jays in his second start of the season, but he only gave up 1 hit over 5 innings pitched. He had 5 walks in that game and 3 strikeouts, but if you're not giving up any runs, who cares how many guys you're walking? Sporting a 1-0 record with a 0 ERA to start the season, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And the Astros need every bit of help they can get right now. Their bats have not gotten off to the best start ever. Their batting average is climbing, their slugging percentage is climbing, but they're not getting a lot of runs across that plate. And obviously, guys, that's what counts at the end of the day. Jose Altuve is off to a good start, though. 3 home runs and a 375 batting average. That's nothing to turn your nose up at, and he's going to need to continue that success here going up against the Kansas City Royals. The Royals come into this one fresh off of a 4-game sweep against the Chicago White Sox, so they have to be feeling pretty good about that. And they're handing the ball to Cole Rangans. This left-handed pitcher is off to a very good start to his season overall. Against the Twins in his first outing, he pitched 6 innings, only gave up 2 runs, had 9 strikeouts. Against the Baltimore Orioles in his second outing, he lasted 6 1/3, only gave up a single hit over that span, and had 7 strikeouts and 2 walks, so he's off to a fantastic start to the year. The Royals have to be feeling very good about the fact they're coming off a win and handing the ball to somebody sporting a 1.6 ERA with 16 strikeouts through only 2 starts. Looking at the numbers in this game, we see the Royals are somehow plus 108 in this one. I know they're not going to be as good of a team as the Astros, but it definitely seems like they should have some sort of edge here in this game playing at home. But what we're really looking at in this game is the over-under. We see it's at 8.5. Both of these starters are looking fantastic out of the gate. We see Houston is 7-2-1 to the under. We see the Royals are 6-3-1 to the under. Give me under 8.5 in this game. I don't think we'll see very much offense, as neither one of these teams are really hitting the cover off the ball right now, and we expect to see both starters have very good outings. Moving right along, we're looking at the Los Angeles Dodgers going on the road to take on the Minnesota Twins. The Dodgers come into this game fresh off a series opening win over the Twins. They won that one 4-2. Ohtani went deep for the 3rd time in 5 games. It hit a pair of doubles. He was absolutely raking in that game. Things are looking pretty good for the Dodgers. They're off to a 9-4 start. And hey, when you've got this absolutely loaded roster, you should be off to a good start. This team is killing the ball right now. They're handing the ball to Tyler Glasgow. He's gotten off to a pretty solid start overall. Not exactly dominant, but when you're 2-0 with a 3.18 ERA and 15 strikeouts over 3 starts, not looking too bad at all. He has had some control issues. He's given up a couple of home runs in his last 2 games, but no major issues. The guy is looking good out there on the mound. Has to feel pretty good about being backed by the best offense in the majors so far this season. So things are definitely looking good for the Dodgers going up against the Twins, who come into this game only 3-5 overall. They lost that series opening game, so that can't have felt too good. And they might be just a little bit leery handing the ball here to Louis Varland. He comes into this game only making his 2nd start of the year. He lost against the Milwaukee Brewers. Not his best start, only lasting 4 innings, giving up 6 hits, 3 earned runs, a home run, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts. Not exactly a disaster outing, but going up against the Brewers and having a middle-of-the-road type of outing can't feel too great when you're about to take on the Dodgers. Looking at the run line in this game, we see that the Dodgers -1.5, you're getting them plus 100. We're definitely taking the Dodgers -1.5. They're hot hitting the ball right now. They've got a solid starter out there on the mound. I think they're going to get an easy win against a struggling Twins team, so give me the Dodgers -1.5. Looks like you can get that at plus 100. In the last game we're going to be looking at tonight, we've got the Philadelphia Phillies going on the road to take on the St. Louis Cardinals. The Phillies got the win in game 1 of the series, winning 5-3 in St. Louis, so that has to feel pretty good. We saw Trey Turner driving the game-winning single for the Phillies, and at 5-5, they're hoping they can keep putting some wins together. They've won 3 out of their last 4 overall, and they're handing the ball to Zach Wheeler in this game. He's off to a very solid start. He went 6 innings against the Atlanta Braves, giving up 5 hits, 0 runs, having 5 strikeouts in that one. He was really mowing guys down against the Cincinnati Reds. He had 10 strikeouts and 1 walk in that game, but he did give up an earned run and 4 hits. So in 6 innings of work, that's pretty solid, but the poor guy is 0-1 with his .75 ERA and 15 strikeouts over only 2 starts. That is a very solid outing. The guy is looking dominant. We expect big things from him in this one going up against the Cardinals, who've now lost 2 in a row. Things are not looking amazing in St. Louis right now. They're 5-6 overall. They're going to be handing the ball to Sonny Gray in this one. He's going to be making his first start of the season after spending some time on the IL, but he's supposed to be healthy. He's supposed to be this team's ace, and he is out there to make his debut. What can really expect from him in this one? It's tough to say when somebody's coming off the IL. I tend to look at them as a pretty big question mark. He could have a good start right here out of the gate, but I kind of expect him to maybe have some problems. It's a little bit of a concern, and he's going against the Phillies, who are not a terrible team. The Cardinals also have not been hitting the ball very well. They only scored 3 runs against the Marlins in the last game of that series, 3 runs in the second to last game of the series, and then they only scored 3 runs here against the Phillies. They don't exactly have anybody that's coming out of the gate super hot hitting the ball. They've only scored 41 runs, which puts them very much in the middle of the league right now. Their slugging percentage is very low. Like, this team is just not hitting the ball well right now, and that definitely makes me lean towards the Phillies in this one. You can get the Phillies -126 just to win this game straight up. Lean the over-under in this one. There are really no big trends in this one. I do expect Wheeler to have a very good start. So if you have faith in Sonny Gray to have a good start also, you could take a look at that under, but For me, I'm just going to be on the Phillies minus 126. I think they find a way to win this game behind a very solid outing from Wheeler. That's all the games we have time for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all your bets and subscribe if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we will see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.